Can we talk about actions? At the heart of every combat RPG system is the action. And every system handles it a little differently. You know, you're in an initiative order, whether it be combat or some kind of social encounter, and on your turn, you get actions. What does that mean? Well, it's different depending on the system. And I wanted to talk about a few different systems and compare them, talk about them, see which one did it better, because every system handles the action differently, albeit similarly. It's also important to note how long an action is, which, again, from system to system, it'll vary. Some say it's 6 seconds, some say it's 10 seconds. To take a full round, and in one round, everyone takes a simultaneous action. It's easily missed that when you're doing an initiative order, things aren't happening like a Final Fantasy video game, you know? People aren't waiting their turn, stepping forward, striking, and then holding in place for another 6 seconds. No, while everything is done in turns for gameplay purposes and order, it's all happening simultaneously. You know, it looks much more like a modern Final Fantasy game where, you know, everyone's running around, more like Final Fantasy XII, where everyone's running and attacking at the same time, you know? Or like Xenoblade Chronicles. But we're talking about tabletop RPGs today, not video games. And I'm going to bring up 4 different systems, go over what they do, what they mean, how they handle the action, give my opinions on them, and hopefully spark some interesting debate in the comments. Our systems up for debate today are Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, and the curveball in the race, the Dragon Age RPG system. I will be completely transparent here that I have never played the Dragon Age RPG system, but I wanted something that wasn't D&D and Pathfinder in here just to spice things up, you know? So everything I talk about with Dragon Age is strictly from research and concept and like gameplay on paper. I've never actually played it, so take that with a grain of salt. Each of these systems really does actions similar, but different, and just different enough that it warrants talking about, and I'm kind of excited to get into this, so I'm just going to get going so this doesn't take half an hour. In D&D 3.5, it's never fully understood. Every table seems to play it slightly different, but the general consensus is 1 standard action and 1 move action. You can't take 2 move actions or anything like that. The only exception is the full round action, where you forego your standard and your move, and that 1 action takes your whole turn. The standard action is typically just attacking or casting, or if you're at the table and the GM says that's probably going to be a full action or a standard action, that's what determines that. It's always been a bit more ambiguous when I play in 3.5 games. It's always a little bit, can I do this? And then the GM will say that's a free action, or that's a bonus action, or that's a standard action, you know? Bonus action is 5th edition, but you know what I mean. 3.5 was always a little more ambiguous in what it is, and it's simultaneously less specific and more complicated, because along with the standard action and the move action, which the move action is movement, you know, any kind of movement from point A to point B is a move action up to your speed with penalties depending on where you're moving. And then there's the full round action, which some spells are full round spells because they just take longer to cast. These are actions that, you know, take that full 6 or 10 seconds. I think 3.5 might be 10 seconds per round. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the most common use for the full round action is for martial classes to attack multiple times in one turn. So, you know, the fighter gets, 4 attacks in one turn, but only if they use the full round action to attack. If they attack and move, they still only get the 1 attack. You can also use the full round action to run, which is 4 times your speed, 3 times if you're wearing heavy armor, which is, a good use of, that's a lot of distance covered, whereas if you move normally, you might move like 30 feet, and then attack, or you can just move and move, 120 feet, which is crazy. And then the 3 things in 3.5 that really stand out and probably confuse new players the most are free actions, swift actions, and immediate actions, because these are 3 different things, people. Free actions are things you can do on your turn. They will not deduct from your, 2 actions or full round action. You can do it however much you want on your turn. A free action is, dropping an item, falling prone, talking to someone. which again, depending on your table, might have rules for that. I was at a table where you could only say 6 words per round. You can't, speak out a monologue in a round because, there's a battle going on. Swift actions are like free actions in that they're very fast and take almost no time, but you only get 1 per round. So they don't count against your move or your standard action, but you still only get 1 swift action per round. And I'll be honest, the swift action is almost never used. The only information I could really find on it in my 30 seconds of research was that it was used quite often for psionics, and then the quickened spell metamagic feat, where you quicken a spell by casting it at a higher spell slot to get it out as a swift action, which, that's cool. You can get out multiple spells in one round. But other than that, the swift action doesn't seem to be used that often. It just seems to be a balancing mechanic for some things that they don't want to say infinite swift action, because then you can, quicken spell magic missile 6 times in one turn, and nobody wants to see that. The final action in 3.5 is the immediate action, which is like the swift action, but at any time. So, again, it's like the swift action in that you get 1 per turn, but it doesn't have to be your turn. The example that they always give is Featherfall. If you get shoved off a cliff and your turn isn't coming up anytime soon in the initiative order, you can still cast Featherfall to slow your descent, even if it's not your turn. Again, like the swift action, there's very few things that use the immediate action, but those that do typically say so. And, they can be used not on your turn. Unlike the other systems going forward, which I'll explain when we get there, attacks of opportunity are just their own thing. They are not considered an action in 3.5, and I think that also leads to some confusion. It works the same way as most other systems. If you leave a threatened square, the creature gets an attack of opportunity on you. And cool, simple enough, but when you're just thinking about it from the action standpoint, it can be a little confusing. Moving into the future with 5th edition, things got a lot simpler, and thus there's a little bit less to talk about. On 5th edition, you get 1 move action, 1 normal action, 1 bonus action, and 1 reaction per turn. That's it. You can do each of these 4 things once, and everything fell into one of those 4 action types. The move action, same as 3.5. You move up to your speed. Depending on your terrain, you'll move more or less. The standard action is where it's pretty much almost anything. There's charts online that'll show you anything from attacking to casting a spell to grappling to shoving to anything is a normal action. And things like charging were actually made a little more awkward in 5th edition, in that it was completely removed. Oh, I didn't even realize that until I just looked it up. Okay. Why remove charging? That's so weird. It might be a mounted action. Again, I'm only doing like 30 seconds of quick research. But yeah, it seems they completely removed charging from 5th edition, which boggles my mind. So yeah, you can only move and attack, which for new players, very nice. It's nice to have this simple, on your turn, you're typically just going to move and take an action. That's your turn, nice and simple. Some things have bonus actions. Attacking with an offhand weapon is a bonus action. Some spells can be cast as a bonus action, and some class features are bonus actions. But that's pretty much it as far as bonus actions. For the most part, your turn is going to be move and attack or cast a spell in combat encounters. That's pretty much it, which is why 5th edition is so easily accessible. You can get creative with it. It's those players who will say, okay, I'm going to try to move and kick off the wall to attack him with more force. And then your GM can be like, okay, all right, I'm going to give you this bonus, but these penalties, and make me a jump check. So 5th edition, at its core, on paper, very, very similar, allows room for experimentation and growth, and that homebrewed rules that you want to make without getting things too overcomplicated for new players when they read the core rulebook and it just says, make an attack, roll a d20, and deal the damage. That's it. So core rules, very simple, gives room to grow, great for new players. I like it. I didn't touch on reactions, which very similar to the attacks of opportunity from 3.5, but now have actually been given a name, reactions. You can get 1 reaction per round, not just per turn, but per round. So until it comes back to your turn, you only get 1 of these. And it's an attack of opportunity. Some spells can be cast as a reaction. And what's new to 5th edition, I don't believe was in 3.5, but I think pretty much everyone did it anyway, was readying an action. So you can spend your action and your reaction to not take your action on your turn, set a trigger, and then if somebody does that trigger, you can do it. So, if the goblin tries to attack me, I will attack him back first. Like, if I see him start to attack me, I will strike. And so you would spend your action and your reaction that turn to ready it and focus on that goblin, so if it tries to hit you, you can hit it right first. But like because you're using your reaction, you can't take an attack of opportunity, you can't cast a spell that's a reaction that round. It's similar to the Pathfinder 2 action economy, again, simplified, which is what's great about 5th edition. It's very simple and approachable. Speaking of Pathfinder 2nd edition, the action economy, which I think is really simple, and in some ways simpler than 5th edition, but not for everyone. Everything has an action cost, you get 3 actions per turn, and a reaction. That's it. There are no bonus actions. There are free actions, but those are indicated on the action itself. Every action is in the book in some way. Yeah, if you want to get creative and you want to do something that's not in the book, the GM does have to be like, okay, that's probably this many actions, but it's much easier to understand, especially from a modern-day gaming standpoint. If you look at some games, take Divinity: Original Sin, it has an AP system similar. Now, as you level up and get certain feats, you get more AP per turn, but it's easy to think about it from a video game standpoint, which a lot of new players are coming from a gaming standpoint. You get 3 points per turn. Spend your points however you want to do. You want to move, that's 1 point. You want to attack, that's 1 point. You want to attack again, there's your 3rd point. You're done. You don't have anything else unless you want to take any free actions, and you also get your 1 reaction per turn, whether that's your attack of opportunity, some spells, some features. It's similar to 5th edition, but I think it's done much simpler. Rather than giving everything different titles, move actions, normal actions, bonus actions, it's just actions and reactions. And then free actions. But I still consider those actions at no cost. Everything is still considered an action. And maybe that's just my thought process with the D&D system, is that I consider normal actions and bonus actions and free actions different things. Whereas in Pathfinder, maybe I'm being an unfair judgment and just I think about Pathfinder differently, but I find it more approachable. And there's not even that much more to say about the Pathfinder system. On its surface, it's very simple, but once you dive in, it gets much more complex because you get more options. Speaking of options, let's talk about Dragon Age. The Dragon Age action system is really cool. I really want to play this now. Effectively, similar to the Dungeons and Dragons systems, you get effectively 2 actions per turn. A major action and a minor action. You can also opt to take 2 minor actions. What's important to know, though, is that Dragon Age, again, maybe I missed it. Again, I did quick research for this video. It doesn't seem like Dragon Age has bonus actions or reactions. Everything you want to do falls in to a major or minor action. So for a major action, you can make a normal attack, you can make a ranged attack, you can defend to increase your defense, you can charge to move and attack with a bonus if you can close that distance. You can even every single character can take the all-out attack action, which is very similar to power attack from D&D. I like that anybody can recklessly attack. You get a +1 to attack, but a -1 to defense the entire round. Even if you miss your attack, you're still taking that -1 to defense for the entire next round. I love having these options. Just because I'm not a fighter or a barbarian doesn't mean my wizard doesn't want to panic and just flail around with his staff in a last-ditch effort. And the minor actions are really cool too. You can take a second move action. You can, very similar to 5th edition, you can ready an action. You can spend your minor action to prepare a major action, and that's your turn. You can't do anything else, but it works the exact same way as the 5th edition readying an action, and it just happens when the trigger is met. I really, really like that. But they've got so many options. Defending forgoes your attack, and it's similar to the shield block from Pathfinder 2nd edition, but again, anyone can do it. You just assume a defensive stance, you opt not to attack, you go on the defensive, so you get a +2 to defense the entire round. And then there's the minor action of aim. It's simple, it's just aim, and you use your minor action to gain a bonus on your major action. It gives you a +1 to your next attack because you took extra time to line it up, but you don't get to do anything else. You don't get to move. You don't get to, activate something or prepare. You can press the attack. Sorry, I'm looking at these as I speak just because I'm less familiar with this system. Press the attack is really, really cool. If you've already hit someone this turn, so you can take your minor or major action in any order, though some of them require specific orders, and press the attack. If you've already hit someone this turn, you can press the attack on them, where if they try to back off, you can follow them. You can move up with them even on their turn. It's this really cool dynamic where Dragon Age has so many options. So just all-out attack, charge, defend, heal, melee, ranged, run, activate, aim, guard up, move, prepare, press the attack, ready, and stand firm. And you can mix and match these every turn. Guard up is one of my favorite things because you can give yourself a +1 or a +2 to defense for the entire next round, but every other action you roll for that entire round takes a -1 or -2. So not only can you opt to take this penalty for a bonus, you can choose how much you want. If you really think you need that +2 to defense, you can take it and take a -2 to everything else. I love the options offered by Dragon Age. And there's the whole stunt system as well, but I'm not covering that. I don't consider that an action. It's just really freaking cool, man. If you haven't looked into the Dragon Age RPG system, check it out. There's really, really cool stuff. So final thoughts on all of these. I'm going to try to rank them from first to fourth. I do think 3.5... Now, 3.5 has a wonderful place in my heart. It is nostalgic. I played it in college. I'm playing it now. I like the system. But I also think it's the weakest. It is unpolished. It is overcomplicated. There's too many names for similar things. You're going to forget what's a swift action, what's an immediate action, what's a free action. You know what I mean? And it's really easy to get mixed up from a new player standpoint. And I know maybe it's unfair to think of all of these from a new player standpoint. But I think any system, if everyone at the table is experienced, is a great system. If everyone knows what they're doing, it's gonna be fun, And I love 3.5. 3.5 is a ton of fun. It has a lot more options than 5th edition. I don't know about having more options than Pathfinder, but compared to 5th edition, it does have more options. It's just not portrayed in quite as understandable a way, which is why I'm giving it 4th place. It doesn't have as many options as Dragon Age, but it's more complicated than 5th edition, and it just misses the mark on sort of everything. The other 3 systems beat it in some way, so it has to get last. 5th edition, simple, easy to understand. When in doubt, what you're doing is an action. If you can't remember if reloading your heavy crossbow is an action, it's probably an action, Only very specific things in 5th edition are bonus actions and reactions, and they're labeled as such. So unless you're moving or taking a specifically labeled bonus or reaction, it's probably an action, and it's nice and easy to think of it that way. I am going to give 5th edition 3rd place. Sorry, Dungeons & Dragons, I probably play D&D more than any other system, but the other 2 systems just do more, and maybe I'm a sucker for different for the sake of being different, but man, I really like Pathfinder 2e and Dragon Age. Pathfinder 2e just gives you so much freedom to mix and match anything you want. You can do one big 3-action turn, or you can do multiple 1-action in the same turn, or maybe you want to move twice and then attack, or you have a feat that lets you move twice and attack for 2 actions, and getting to micromanage that action economy is so freaking satisfying when you manage to do so much in one turn, but you don't get overconfident because your enemies have the same exact opportunities as you. So it's this really cool high risk, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just options. The ability to mix and match actions. Every turn is gonna be different, and I love it. While I haven't played it, I love the Dragon Age combat system in concept. It obviously has similar drawbacks to 3.5. There's so many options. For your first, 6 months of playing the system, you're gonna forget how press the attack works. You're gonna forget how to stand firm or what each thing does. You're gonna forget the difference between aim and I don't know. You're not gonna remember the exact details. Does defend give me +1 or +2 defense? Does all out attack give me +2 attack or +1? And it's a lot to take in. But once you get there, these mixing and matchings, just at the core gameplay, is so nice. And I like it for the same reason I like Pathfinder. I love being able to mix and match options depending on my combat situation, and that every turn is going to be different. Maybe this turn I need more defense. Maybe this turn I really just want to make sure I hit, so I'm going to aim. Or maybe I'm dying and I need this guy to die first, so I'm going to all-out attack for more damage. It's a really cool system, and I'm going to give first place to Pathfinder. Obviously, I'm a little biased. You know, my channel is mostly about Pathfinder, but I think Pathfinder does what Dragon Age does, but simpler. I think you get the same complexity and the same in-depth choices to mix and match, but it does it better. Rather than, you know, just major and minor action, here's your choices. It's just, here's 3 action points, do with them however you want. You're not limited to just a major and a minor. You're not limited to just a standard action and a move action. You can do whatever you want. If you want to move 3 times, cool. If you want to attack 3 times in one turn at level 1, you're gonna miss because you're taking a -10, but do it. Do what you want. Your options are limitless, and I absolutely love them. And again, 5th edition system is not bad. Some people probably find it easier than Pathfinder, but personally, I just think Pathfinder's system is so approachable, so deep. It's as deep or as shallow as you want it to be, and that's what I like the best. If you want your turn to be move, attack, attack, or move, move, attack, and that's all you do, cool. That's pretty much the same as people who want to play D&D and just want to move and attack, which is completely understandable. There are people who are there to roleplay, are not super into the combat, and just want to do a simple combat turn. You can still do that with Pathfinder. Whereas you look at 3.5, and you look, well, I guess you can move an attack in 3.5, but then again, it's still easy to get lost in what's a free action, what's a swift action. Can I take this as an immediate action? Can I do this? And I feel like the similar issues might hit Dragon Age of, can I charge and all-out attack in one turn? No, those are 2 major actions. Okay, can I run? And it's a lot. And Pathfinder is, you have your list of actions, you have your basics, and you have what you get from your class, and I really, really like it. And I should stop rambling because this video is dragging on. But thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble. If you liked what you saw, make sure to hit the, I am bad at selling out. Make sure to subscribe. And if you, good lord, you know what? I'm not even going to do it. You guys get away. I'm not even going to tell you to subscribe this time. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, no nat ones.